When my father was young in Bangladesh, he got into a fight with his parents and he decided to leave home one night. And he decided to spend the entire night with children who lived on the streets. When it got really cold, one boy offered his torn and dirty blanket to my father, even though this boy had barely any clothing on him. The selflessness and generosity of this boy demonstrated the power of human connection. And it provoked my father to think why the poor in the country was becoming more poor and the rich more rich. It also encouraged him to take on initiatives later on for the poor and the needy. His passion was eventually passed on to me. And as I became further exposed to world issues like violence against women, environmental degradation, political corruption, genocide, and my list can go on, I wondered, how can I utilize my microscopic human agency to make a positive and peaceful impact in the world? It's a question many of you have too, right? So I thought that after attaining multiple degrees, after attaining multiple jobs, after coming to a position of authority, will I then have the power to make an impact in the world? 2 weeks ago, this idea changed. I mean, I'm still working towards my degree and I plan to get jobs, but the idea changed, the timeline changed. In meditation, an individual experiences inner peace, inner silence. They become mindful of the present, and they attain spiritual enlightenment and self-repair. This is exactly what the picture had done for me. I stopped thinking about everything I had to do for tomorrow and the day after, and I was brought to the present. This entire time I thought, we do good deeds and it's fruitful, but I didn't realize the amount of power we have in the now, in the present, and the amount of power we have to make a difference. Each and every one of you sitting here today, watching, have probably already made an impact in the world. You're probably doing it right now, and you're probably going to do it later on this week. But we don't realize that profound impact. We don't get the time to reflect on it and to empower it within us because we are so busy cultivating this ideal plan for the future, planning our day schedule for the week and the next 6 months. So what's the story behind this picture? In May 2013, I was awarded the opportunity to attend the Oslo Freedom Forum in Oslo, Norway. This was a conference that addressed the top global human rights issues by prominent human rights activists, journalists, Nobel Peace Prize laureates, and hundreds of people from around the world. Prior to coming to this conference, my friends and I thought that, wow, this is going to be a fantastic networking opportunity. Okay, but what does networking mean? Networking means to interact with one another, to exchange information, to develop contacts, especially to further one's career. Now, living in a capitalist and consumerist society where we are told how to make a living, how we can further our chances to get to the top, and simultaneously pursue our passion if we receive the opportunity, when we are placed under competitive and strenuous environments, networking is pretty handy, right? Because it helps us attain those opportunities to become successful. But Maya Angelou said that the desire to reach for the stars is ambitious. The desire to reach hearts is wise. That is exactly what I did at the Oslo Freedom Forum. Because I met individuals with such inspirational identities and incredible personal stories that I no longer want to solely engage with them just to further my career. Rather, I want to really enjoy their personal stories. I wanted to create a space for their voices to be heard. I wanted to build genuine human relationships with them. This led to many deep conversations, and I came back from Norway with more lifelong friends and life lessons than career opportunities, and I don't regret it one bit. Now, among many of the friends I made at this conference, one special friend I made was Arzina Begum. She was a speaker at the conference, and she came from a village in the northern part of Bangladesh called Joldhaka Nilphamari. According to the World Bank and Bangladesh Bureau of Statistics, 25 to 34% of the population in Joldhaka Nilphamari lives below the lower poverty line. Arzina addressed the issue of child marriage and lack of access to education at this conference, and she shared her experience about the struggles she faced when trying to convince her parents to let her continue her education instead of getting married at the age of 14. She protested for education. She dared to follow her dreams. Now she's the first girl in her village and family to go to university. And her parents, her community are extremely supportive and proud of her. Her strength and resilience amazed me. And I spent a lot of time at the conference with Arzina. We bonded. And I remember when Arzina was looking for me among the crowd at the conference, when she would find me, she would hold my hand. And that small gesture told me that she cared about me and that I was her friend. With this trust, she told me that her and her friends pitch in $5 a month to purchase cow, chicken, goat, etc., to produce funds so that other girls can also further their education like Arzina. Then Arzina told me, "Amake সাহায্য করবা?" This means, "Can you support me in Bangla?" And I heard that, and I took her hand and I made a promise to her that I will support her with all her initiatives and dreams. And I became emotionally invested. So I came back from Norway, and I would go to bed every single night thinking, okay, how am I going to fulfill this promise I made to Arzina? So I contacted organizations, I made dozens of emails, dozens of phone calls, and I explained to them how I met Arzina and what we wanted to do. Now, none of these organizations and their protocols allowed me to work with Arzina in equal partnership. They didn't allow me to work with her as a team. Now, this really frustrated me because I felt that Arzina's agency, ownership, and the community's agency and ownership was integral to this process, to this initiative that we were trying to do. So I gave up because I didn't get any good email back. And I said, what am I gonna do now? So I said, okay, you know what? I'm not gonna follow someone's system, I'm going to create my own. Because this initiative was different. It was personal. And it needed to remain grassroots, it was small scale. Because I didn't want Arzina and the community story to become lost. So I started Education and Equity for Women in Nilphamari, Bangladesh. So this initiative aims to help women and girls access resources that will aid them to continue their education. It also aims to support them to follow their dreams. It aims to support them become independent in their livelihoods, and most importantly, I'd like to offer them the opportunity to see the change that they want to see. So I collected the generous donations from my family and friends, and I told them that 100% of the funds would transparently, ethically, and go directly to the cause, and I fulfilled this promise. And I gave them constant updates because I wanted them to feel connected to the initiative. I wanted them to feel that they are a part of EEWMB. Now, during this process, I was asked many questions. I was born Christian, and Arzina is from a Muslim community. I was always taught to help others and respect each other without discrimination. So one person one day asked me, who didn't know much about my trip to Norway, asked, well, how come you're not helping the poor Christian minority families where your family is from in Bangladesh? This did not occur to me. But in Bangladesh, 90.4% of the population is Muslim and 0.6% of the population is Christian. So it made sense for people, for me to help other minorities. But I want to demonstrate the power of unity through bridging and transcending our differences. Now, our identities are a unique and integral part of who we are. And when we incorporate our unique identities, when we incorporate our differences and live in communal harmony, that is diversity. But when we exclude each other based on our differences, that creates barriers. And we must remember that our identity also links to the relationships we build with others, despite religion, skin, and language. So my mother had responded to this person for me using the example of my namesake, Mother Teresa. She said that Mother Teresa helped the needy regardless of gender, religion, caste, ability, ethnicity, etc. Mother Teresa also said that if we have no peace, it is because we have forgotten that we belong to each other. That really stuck to me. And with that consciousness, I can say that everyone is equal in God's eyes. There are no boundaries when helping someone. I want to set the example of the power of unity, the power of collective action, the power of solidarity, and most importantly, the power of love that bridges and transcends these differences we have in order to make change in the world. I also remember calling Arzina, and I'm about to tell her how I'm going to spend the money. She quickly stops me and says, okay, but have you eaten? How are you doing? And then I continue talking about, how I'm gonna spend the money and all these other logistics. And she stops me again and says, don't worry about sending the money. Tell me, when are you coming to Bangladesh? When are you coming to see us? There are so many people here dying to meet you. And that hit me that I had met Arzina for just a few days, once in my life, and she was so loving and concerned about me. And that was, unconditional friendship. That is what makes the seeds of EEWB different. More importantly, we came from two different contexts in the world, and we were able to come together and try to make change. And it wasn't just her, but even her family and her friends, they all spoke to me on the phone, and they were so, eager to meet me. They were so happy to talk to me over the phone, and they were so concerned about me, and they just made me feel like I was a part of their family. By the end of the summer, Arzina told me that 68 women and girls received tuition support along with other education materials. 6 women received vocational training of sewing trade, 3 women received sewing machines, 20 students received school uniforms, and 3 families received tube wells. These are numbers that I did not expect at all. Because when I made that friend back in Oslo Freedom Forum, I did not expect all of this. But it happened, and I think it happened not just because of donations, not just because I offered my helping hand, but because there was a genuine relationship, a relationship I really valued. Now, it doesn't stop at EEWB, it doesn't stop at Arzina. I realized that this entire time I was making an impact in the world that I had mistaken for good deeds. So for example, when I visit an elderly lady at a senior citizen home, I was actually transcending the differences of age. And I was building a genuine relationship with her, initially her being a stranger, but in that relationship, there was giving. And that giving is love. And that love is so healing. It is just so healing. And there is no words to explain that healing feeling we have inside of us. That is the beauty of human connection. With that, I can say that each and every one of you have been making an impact in the world, because through those human connections, there's a ripple effect throughout the world, because we are connected to everything. So initially, that time when you offered your hand, that time when you valued a relationship, that time when you transcended differences, you are making an impact. And I'd like all of you to take a moment, pause in your life, in your busy life, and just reflect on that power you have, that ability to make that impact. And I'd like all of you to reflect on it and to empower it within you, to grow that part that you have inside of you, and grow it as much as you would like to grow in career and status. That would be revolutionary. Thank you.